couple months ago, Salesforce replaced half of their customer service staff with AI agents. But listen, don't just take my word for it. The CEO, Marc Benioff, said that the AI agents at Agentforce were able to allow them to reduce from 9,000 heads to about 5,000 heads. He announced that these AI agents at Agentforce were able to handle 50% of the workload and cut costs by 17%, which is a huge deal for an organization of that size. But it looks like there may be some problems with that strategy. Senior VP of Marketing, Product Marketing at Salesforce recently announced that, quote, all of us were more confident about large language models a year ago, which to me is really fascinating. And by the way, is this, these guys seem to be speaking out of both sides of their mouth. Is it that these big CEOs and tech companies are so optimistic about the utopia that they're building with AI and its ability to just replace everyone and bring down cost to zero? Or are they kind of backtracking because they realize that there's a public sentiment that maybe we don't want AI agents replacing all human beings? I'm trying to get a close read. You let me know what you think. My bet is that, you know, these guys are very optimistic about AI just solving tons and tons of interesting problems. And that's obviously what we cover on this channel. You should be liking and subscribing for the freshest news 6 days a week. But what I think is interesting here now is that Salesforce is kind of moving away from this claim that AI agents are going to be able to handle all of their tasks. And I'll be watching very closely to see if they decide to start hiring back. It kind of reminds me of a story we covered earlier this year. I'll post a link to it here, where Klarna fired almost their entire staff, only to realize that there were quality control issues and they had to start hiring back. But listen, let's stick on Salesforce here for just another moment. So what is Salesforce doing? Well, Salesforce is starting to move away from this open-ended generative AI model and placing a greater emphasis on predictable rules-based automation in their flagship product, Agentforce. The problem that they were seeing, and I think that a lot of companies are dealing with now, is that the open-ended LLM was failing when it was given too many instructions. And according to the CTO at Agentforce, he said once the number of instructions crossed 8, the model started dropping directives. And they had problems for clients like Vivint, for example. Vivint, one of their customers, reported that Agentforce was forgetting to send follow-up surveys, which was a really important part of their satisfaction process. And I don't know about you, but I've had similar experiences with AI. If I ask it to do too many things, it starts to kind of lose the thread. It starts to drop the ball. It starts to hallucinate. You start to get worse results. And hold that thought. We're going to talk about that in a little more detail in just a moment. Regardless, as we kind of push forward here, a big Salesforce executive, Phil Mui, described a problem of AI drift in an issue in October. And essentially what happens is the AI gets distracted when you give it too many directives. And, you know, we also cover this, by the way. I'll post a link to a video here. We talked about some of the problems with vibe coding, and that, you know, I've found personally when I'm vibe coding, when I'm building software with programs like Replit or Lovable, for example, that the AI will not understand all the context of the previous code that's been written. It'll start to solve these problems, but in an effort to solve the new coding problems and, you know, update the database or the schema or, you know, make the front end look nicer, it'll end up screwing up stuff that's worked on in the past, right? It's kind of like, I'll give you an example. Let's say you vacuum your house, you mop your house, you clean it all up, it looks great. Then you're like, okay, well, now it's time to do some yard work. And in the process of doing your yard work and mulching outside, well, you end up tracking a bunch of mud through something that you've already cleaned. You start tracking mud through your house. And this is kind of, I think, part of the problem that I've had personally with vibe coding, in that as it's trying to solve one problem, it doesn't realize that it's actually screwing up something that it's already fixed. And, you know, this is just one example, but in the specifics of Salesforce, it's getting too much context and the LLMs are losing the thread. You know, and I think it's very reasonable to predict, and I would predict that as data centers become more prevalent, as energy becomes more prevalent, as compute power becomes stronger and token efficiency improves, the AI is going to get much, much better at handling context. You know, I think this is kind of the gold, going to be the gold standard. The alternative, or probably additionally on top of that, we're going to start seeing many, many different types of AI models that are hyper specialized in certain tasks. For example, right now you might use 20 different softwares in your tech stack. And I think it'll probably be similar when it comes to AI. You're gonna have all these different AI softwares that are helping you solve problems in your business and and at a job level. The reality is though, we just don't know. What we do know is that AI is going to continuously play a larger role in every organization at every level. It's not going to stop. The AI is good already. It's going to get better. However, we have to recognize that there are some downfalls. Are we ever going to get to AGI and it replaces all jobs and all people are obsolete? I'm skeptical to that point. However, I am very confident that the people that aren't learning the tools and aren't learning these new skills, well, it's going to be difficult to stand out in the job market. It's going to be difficult to handle the different tasks that come across. Listen, the biggest and most important thing that you can do, that I'm focused on, is leveraging the new tools, learning new tools, and using AI where appropriate. But also make sure that we go back on the back end and make sure that our results are good. You can't just, you can't just set it and forget it. If you set up an AI agent, you need to go in on the back end and make sure that it's operating correctly. And that whole process of testing and iterating is tough. It's not easy. It's not easy, but I will say this, the guys and girls that figure out these problems and figure out how to properly iterate and get the best result, you're poised for a huge, huge future. It's gonna be win big time, win big time. Guys, thanks for watching the video today. Quick video, have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, all that good stuff. If you like today's video, you should definitely check out yesterday's video where I kind of combat this AI doomerism that's out there. And we talk about why I'm optimistic about AI. Check out yesterday's video. I think you'll pick up some good tips. Thanks, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.